I'm 84 years old and sitting here alone in my apartment in Cleveland, Ohio, looking at a bank statement that shows $2.3 million. I need to tell you something that's been eating me alive. But before I get to that, let me take you back to where this all started, because you need to understand how a kid from Slavic village ended up with more money than he knows what to do with and more regrets than he can count. My name is George Miller. I was born in 1940, right at the tail end of the Depression era, to a steelworker father and a seamstress mother. My childhood was simple. We didn't have much. Dad worked at Republic Steel, 12-hour shifts, 6 days a week. Mom sewed clothes for wealthy families until her fingers bled. And even with all that work, we barely scraped by each month. I remember being 9 years old, December of '49, when I saw my dad cry for the first time. The steel plant had cut back on shifts, and he didn't have enough money to buy Christmas presents for me and my two brothers. I watched this man, this giant who worked like an animal every single day, break down in our tiny kitchen. The shame on his face, the humiliation of not being able to provide for his kids, it carved something deep into my young mind. That night, lying in the bed I shared with my brothers, I made myself a promise. I would never be poor, never feel that kind of shame. Never depend on anyone. I was going to save enough money to never ever have to worry again. And you know what? I kept that promise. God, did I keep it. I started working when I was 12, delivering newspapers before school. Every single cent I earned went into a coffee can I kept hidden under my bed. While other kids were buying candy and comic books, I was saving. By the time I turned 16, I had $400 saved up, which was a fortune for a teenager in 1956. At 18, I got a job as a junior accountant at a small firm, $45 a week. Since I still lived with my parents, I didn't pay rent, so I saved $40 every single week without fail. My friends would go out on Saturdays, hit up bars, take girls to the movies, buy used cars, and fix them up. Not me. I stayed home, studied accounting, planned my financial future. They called me cheap, laughed at me behind my back. I didn't care. I knew what I was doing. I was building security, building a wall between me and the poverty I grew up with. Then I met Martha in '62. She worked as a secretary in the same building where I was working. Red hair, smile that could light up a whole room, laugh that made everyone around her happy. She was full of life, full of dreams. She wanted to get married, have kids, travel, actually live life. And me, I wanted to save money. When I finally proposed to her in '64, I had $12,000 saved up. She wanted a nice wedding, nothing crazy expensive, just something special that we could remember. I convinced her to do something simple at City Hall instead. We saved $2,000. For the honeymoon, she dreamed about going to New York City, seeing Broadway shows, staying in a nice hotel. I told her that was wasteful. We went to Niagara Falls for 3 days, stayed in a cheap motel. Total cost was $87. I thought I was being smart. I thought I was securing our future. I thought I was doing the right thing. Martha wanted kids right away. I told her to wait. We needed to save more first, I said. Kids are expensive, I said. Let's wait until we're financially stable, I said. She agreed, trusting me to know what was best. We waited 5 years, then 10, then 15. The truth is, I never thought we had enough money. When we had 50,000 saved, I thought we needed 100,000. When we hit 100,000, I decided we needed 200,000. The goalpost kept moving, always just out of reach, always requiring just a little more saving, a little more sacrifice. When Martha turned 45, she came to me and said she wanted to try for a baby. It was our last real chance, she said. She was 43, and if we were going to do this, it had to be now. And I said no. It's too risky financially, I told her. What if the baby has health problems? What if you can't go back to work? We can't afford to take that risk. I saw something die in her eyes that day, but I convinced myself I was making the rational decision, the responsible decision, the smart decision. Martha loved to dream about traveling. She'd talk about Europe like it was heaven on earth. Paris, Rome, London, all those places she'd read about in magazines. Her eyes would light up when she talked about walking along the Seine or seeing the Colosseum. And what did I say? Later, later, later. When we retire, when we have enough money, we'll travel the whole world, I promised her. She started collecting travel magazines. She'd mark pages with little sticky notes, make lists of places she wanted to see, restaurants she wanted to try, museums she wanted to visit, and I kept saying, wait, 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 just a little longer, just a little more money. I drove the same car for 15 years, wore the same clothes until they literally fell apart. We ate at home every single night because restaurants were too expensive. I turned the heat down in winter to save on the energy bill. Martha would pile on 3 blankets and never complained once. I reused tea bags, cut my own hair, fixed my own shoes with glue and cardboard. My coworkers would go to baseball games, take their families to amusement parks, go on vacations. Me? I worked overtime every weekend. More hours meant more money to save, more security to build. By the time I was 55, I had $800,000 invested. I was at the peak of my career, making good money, and our savings were growing faster than ever. Martha suggested we finally take that trip to Europe. We have the money now, George, she said. Please, she said. I told her the market was volatile, that we needed to wait for the economy to stabilize, that it would be irresponsible to spend that much money on frivolities when we could be investing it, growing it, securing our future even more. She didn't argue. She never argued with me about money. She just put away the travel magazines and never mentioned Europe again. The years kept passing. We settled into a routine. Work, save, invest, repeat. Martha stopped talking about her dreams. She stopped making plans. She just existed alongside me in our little apartment, living a life of careful calculations and missed opportunities. When Martha turned 68, she started forgetting things, little things at first, where she put her keys, what day of the week it was, then bigger things, appointments, conversations we'd had the day before, names of people she'd known for years. By 71, the doctors diagnosed her with Alzheimer's. By 73, she didn't recognize me anymore. This woman I'd spent my whole adult life with looked at me like I was a stranger. Sometimes she'd get scared, ask who I was, why I was in her house. I put her in a nursing home, not the best one, that would have been too expensive. A decent one, $4,500 a month. I visited every Sunday, sat in her room that smelled like disinfectant and other people's misery. She'd look at me with empty eyes, sometimes smile politely like you do to someone you don't know but are trying to be nice to. Martha died in 2018. She was 76 years old. She died alone in that nursing home room, surrounded by strangers with none of the memories that make a life worth living. She never saw Paris, never had children, never got to live the life she dreamed about when she was that young secretary with the bright smile and the whole world ahead of her. Her funeral was small, just me and 3 elderly co-workers of hers. There were no children crying for their mother, no grandchildren sharing memories of baking cookies or bedtime stories, no friends talking about adventures they'd shared, just a 78-year-old husband who had $1.8 million in the bank and absolutely nothing to show for a lifetime together. And now here I am, 2024, 84 years old. My health is failing. I've got arthritis in both hands so bad I can barely open a jar. Heart problems that require a pill organizer that looks like it belongs in a pharmacy. The doctor says I've got maybe 2, 3 years left if I'm lucky, and I'm sitting on $2.3 million. You want to know what you can do with $2.3 million when you're 84 years old with a failing body? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I can't buy health. Can't buy time. Can't bring Martha back. Can't have the children we never had. Can't travel because my body barely makes it from the bedroom to the bathroom without needing a rest. This money I spent 70 years obsessively accumulating. This fortune I built penny by penny while sacrificing everything else. It's going to the government when I die. I don't have heirs, no family, no one. I eat dinner alone every night. Frozen meals heated in the microwave. I watch game shows on TV that I don't really care about. I go to bed at 8:30 because there's nothing else to do. I wake up at 5 in the morning and lie there in the dark, thinking about all the things I should have done differently. I should have taken Martha to Paris when she was 45 and healthy enough to walk the streets and climb the Eiffel Tower and sit at cafes drinking wine. I should have said yes when she wanted to try for a baby. I should have gone to baseball games and eaten at restaurants and turned up the damn heat in winter. I should have bought her nice things and taken her on adventures and made memories instead of hoarding money like a dragon sitting on gold. Every single day I wake up and look at that bank statement, and you know what I feel? Nothing. Those numbers don't mean anything. They're just pixels on a screen. They don't keep me warm at night. They don't call to check how I'm doing. They don't share memories of good times. They just sit there growing, meaningless. I traded an entire lifetime of experiences, love, memories, and happiness for numbers in a bank account. I traded my wife's dreams for a false sense of security. I traded the chance to be a father for a bigger investment portfolio. I traded everything that actually matters for something that matters not at all. There's this young couple that lives in the apartment below me. I hear them sometimes, laughing, arguing, making up, living their lives. Last week I saw them loading up their car for a trip somewhere. They looked so happy, so excited, and I wanted to run down there and tell them something, shake them and make them understand. But I didn't. I just watched from my window, like the old ghost I've become. The worst part isn't even the loneliness, though that's bad enough. The worst part is knowing that I did this to myself. Nobody forced me to live this way. Nobody held a gun to my head and made me refuse my wife's dreams. I chose this. Every single day for 70 years, I chose money over life. I chose security over joy. I chose a number over everything real. People talk about regret like it's just this feeling you get sometimes, this little twinge of wishing you'd done something different. But real regret, the kind I'm living with now, it's not a feeling. It's a weight. It's a physical thing pressing on your chest every moment of every day. It's waking up at 3 in the morning and remembering your wife's face when you said no to having children. It's sitting alone on holidays and knowing you have no one because you chose it this way. It's understanding with complete clarity that you wasted the only life you'll ever get. I've got 2 or 3 years left, the doctor says, maybe less, and I'll spend every single day of whatever time I have left knowing that I got it all wrong, that I chased the wrong thing, that I built a fortune and lost everything that matters. You know what I'd give right now to go back, to be 35 again with Martha, with our whole lives ahead of us. I'd give every cent of this $2.3 million. I'd give it all to take her to Paris just once, to have had a kid, even just one to watch grow up, to have turned up the heat in winter and seen her comfortable instead of shivering under blankets. To have said yes instead of always saying wait, but I can't go back. Nobody can. Time only moves in one direction, and I spent mine moving in the wrong direction entirely. So I sit here in this apartment, surrounded by investment statements and bank records, the richest man in the cemetery and the most miserable. I've got more money than I could spend in 10 lifetimes, and not a single person who cares whether I live or die. I've got security and nothing to secure. I've got wealth and nothing worth having. If you're out there reading this, if you're saving every penny, if you're putting off living for when you have enough money, I'm begging you, stop. Stop right now, today, this moment. That trip your partner wants to take it. Those kids you're thinking about having but waiting until you're more financially stable, have them. That restaurant you think is too expensive, go there. That hobby that costs money, start it. That experience you're putting off for later, do it now. Because later never comes. Or when it does, you're too old, too sick, too alone to enjoy it. The money you didn't spend, the experiences you didn't have, the life you didn't live, it's all worth nothing when you're my age looking back at a lifetime of saying no. I wasted 84 years building a fortune that means nothing. I spent my whole life preparing for a future that never came. I saved for someday, and someday turned out to be never. Don't be me. Don't make my mistakes. Don't trade your life for money. Don't sacrifice the people you love for a bigger bank balance. Don't wait for the perfect financial moment because it doesn't exist. Live now. Love now. Experience now. Make memories now. Because money can't buy back time, can't resurrect the dead, can't give you another chance at the life you let slip away. I'm the richest corpse you'll ever meet, and I'd trade every single dollar to have lived like I was poor and loved like I was rich. Well, there you have it. Now I'm curious, where in the world are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments. I genuinely love connecting with viewers from everywhere. If this story resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe. Your support keeps this channel going. Thanks so much for watching. See you soon.